DPRK China updates 1. I'm excited. I'm excited about this. So I think the public opinion on the DPRK is going to start to shift. I think DPRK and Cuba, I think we're going to win. Are commercial lawyers who earn millions considered proletariat? Yes. Yeah, they are. Yeah, unless they own the firm. If they own the firm, then they're not, right? Your TikTok's about DPRK? Okay, let's watch it as a primer. Okay, thank you, Jamie. We're getting into it.
Sorry, Mom and Dad, I'm going to North Korea, or at least as close as an American can legally get. I booked a solo DMZ tour on Klook for $71, which covers everything from the Seoul pickup to our incredible guide, Heather, aka Mother Bunny. We started with an hour drive to Paju City to walk across the Majan Lake Suspension Bridge. It was stunningly beautiful and peaceful, honestly the perfect serene way to start our morning before things got heavy. From there, we headed another 45 minutes straight north to Imjinggak Park, and that's where the shift happened. You realize very quickly that this isn't just a historical site. It's an active, heavily surveilled border. Passports are strictly mandatory, and you pass through actual military checkpoints. Mother Bunny warned us that one forbidden photo or video can get you or your guide into serious trouble. No pressure for a content creator, right? Yeah, I kept my phone firmly in my pocket. Inside the experience hall, they have real North Korean artifacts, everything from weapons to everyday items like candy, which feels bizarre to look at, but at the core of the tour was meeting a North Korean defector face to face. Cameras were strictly banned, so I just listened. Hearing her speak was devastating. She explained how citizens are entirely brainwashed to view their dictators as literal gods, but the story that broke my heart was about two 13-year-old kids who were publicly executed for just listening to K-pop. It really grounds you in the human cost of this division. Next, we walk past Mongbae-dan and the statues honoring the comfort women. Learning that 270 young girls from both North and South, only 6 survived, and standing there, it feels like their eyes penetrate right into your soul. To process that, we went straight to the third tunnel, where you lock away all your devices. You put on a hard hat and walk down 300 meters down into a narrow, damp cave to look through a window into the underground border. Side note, walking back up a 50-degree incline is absolute hell. I was physically fighting for my life and almost throwing up. We finished at the Dora Observatory looking through the binoculars at the fake propaganda villages built by the North. It was the strangest feeling to end the day sitting in a modern cafe, holding a nice coffee, and realizing I was staring at a tragic, alternate reality, being used as a source of tourist entertainment. Only a few miles away from where I stood, but truly worlds apart.
Okay, wow. So much to unpack. Do people who go to the DMZ not realize they're in South Korea? Do they think they're in North Korea? That's like my question. Yeah, babe, you're in South Korea still, of course. The National Security Act still applies there. It is illegal for them to say anything positive about the North. They're literally political enemies of the North. What do you think they're going to tell you nice things? Like, what? This is crazy. This is like going to Israel to learn about Palestine. This is like, what? This is like you go to Israel, you get to look at Palestine through binoculars, and then they bring out somebody who's like, I was kidnapped on October 7th. I saw the beheaded babies myself. I saw them there. They made me behead a baby, actually. They made me, or they told me I'd kill them. They'd kill me if I didn't behead the baby. Like, that's the equivalent of what they were getting. This is so crazy. It's insane. This is so wild. But this is the kind of thing where people go and they'll be like, well, I've been to the DMZ. And you're like, you went to a fucking weird propaganda tourist attraction. Also, the fact that they're like looking through binoculars at towns. First of all, if the towns have to be so far away from the border that you can only view them with binoculars, that's not good propaganda. You're telling me that they built entire fucking cities just for you right there, but you can't view them without binoculars? Okay. Weird, but whatever. How do you not know, if those are propaganda cities on the other side of the border, how do you not know you're at a whole propaganda tourist attraction? How do you not know that? Like, what? That's crazy. Yeah, they turned me into a baby and then beheaded me. Like, how do they not, like, you're at a propaganda event. You are doing propaganda tour. Like, what are you talking about? Very, very, very weird. So strange. Everything's, yeah, I know. It's just wild. Okay, so love that. So now let's get into what the Wall Street Journal says is happening in North Korea. It also means you are so dangerous that DPRK has to build close to the border. Yeah, like, what does that mean? So, the world's most surprising economic success story, according to the Wall Street Journal, is North Korea. Arms sales to Russia and goods from China provide boost despite sanctions. The regime is wealthier than ever. Now, I also love this because sometimes you'll hear people talk about this where they're like, the regime keeps all the money. They keep all the money. They're so rich. They're so rich. They're not particularly more wealthy than anybody else. And it's like, how are you saying the regime is wealthier than ever and then showing me pictures of public infrastructure being built with the money? What is that? I don't understand that contradiction, right? Like, no, it seems like the country is doing well. So, after more than 100 visits to North Korea, I also want to say the reason we're seeing all this increased news about North Korea is because during COVID, their protocol was to completely lock down the country, which is smart. That's what the United States should have done. So they did a complete lockdown of the country. And they only recently have begun lifting the restrictions, allowing international travel now that they think they have a control on COVID. So people are now able to start to travel to North Korea. It's been happening for the past, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. Different countries have been allowed different priority access in. So this is why we're getting updates about what's been going on in North Korea, the DPRK, since before COVID to now. People are there like, oh shit, I haven't been in years. Like, they built so much stuff. They've been doing so many things. So that's where all these updates are suddenly coming from. Of course, in the United States, if you have an American passport, you still cannot go. That is not because of North Korea. That is because of the American government. Yeah, DPRK handled COVID correctly. Possibly the only state that did, Neuro Riot says. Yes. And I remember when Donald Trump was talking about COVID when we first found out about it, right? I remember thinking this is so dumb because he has his ultimate excuse to lock down the borders for all immigration. He could do it right now, and it not only would it make sense, progressives would support it. I would support that. I would have supported locking down the border to not spread a pandemic, right, throughout the country and internationally. He could have done it, and he didn't, right? And that really shows you that at the end of the day, the immigration thing's not the core of it. The money, the capital is the core of it, and that would be bad for money. So that's why they couldn't do it. It all comes down to that. The money comes first. Yeah, it's almost like capitalism can't survive without immigration. Yeah, hell of a system we built here, right? So super, super fascinating. Thank you for gifting subs. I appreciate it. Yeah, the regime is the noble United Korean people. It's wild. All right. After more than 100 visits to North Korea, Rowan Beard has come to expect long waits for a taxi under the Kim Jong-un regime. But on a recent visit to Pyongyang, his first in years, a vehicle arrived within minutes. Now, they used to have this whole thing about there weren't very many cars in the DPRK. Mostly people used bicycles and took trains, public transportation systems. Famously, there's the story about them stealing, like, the Volvos or something like that. Didn't they, like, steal... North Korea apparently allegedly stole a bunch of cars from Sweden. Again, I'm not mad at that. I'll let them steal the cars from Sweden if that happened. But basically, because of the blockade, cars were more difficult for them to have for a long time, so there wasn't a lot of car transportation. So their streets were usually very, very empty. Not a lot of congestion, not a lot of traffic. However, on the flip side, harder to get a taxi because there were so few of them. Now, everybody who's been going has been remarking that there's a lot more cars. They've been developing their own car kind of stuff there. It's easier to catch cars. They have their own version of Uber, like an Uber app version. That's like their taxi app that you can use there to catch a car. And also they're like, oh my God, I experienced traffic in Pyongyang for the first time. So you can say what you want if that's better or worse than a bicycle public transportation based system. There's pros and cons to either, I think is fair to say. But based on American standards, the United States previously had judged them for not having many cars, and now they do. So based on the USA, the West Zone standards, the West capitalist standards, this should be a win for them, right? Yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there. So his North Korean interpreter had whipped out a smartphone, opened an app called, they're talking about it, Samhung, and hailed a ride with a service akin to Uber. The two tracked the taxi's movements in real time. This was all totally new, said Beard, an Australian tour operator. My mind was blown. And this is example of their phones. This is all North Korean technology. Now, when we talk about the DPRK being cut off from the rest of the world and not the people that can't get internet, This is the kind of stuff you can develop on your own when you have something like what China did with the Great Firewall in place, right? When China set up the firewall, sure, it was to keep out imperialist propaganda and lies. It was also to allow them to foster their own internet-based business growth, economic growth. And this is something people don't think about. This was the same thing that was in Nepal, what they were talking about with the protests. This is how they were able to develop their own alternatives to Amazon, to Netflix, etc., to Instagram. They were able to develop Alibaba instead, and RedNote instead, the technology that would then be used for TikTok as we know it, right? So all of this happened because they put restrictions, as like you would put trade restrictions on an industry to control it, to foster their own internal industry growth around the internet, and that's what the DPRK has been doing as well. Combo attack, keep out the imperialist lies and propaganda. We don't want to deal with that, but also allow us to foster and grow our own business. And that latter part people usually don't talk about when they talk about the internet. We tend to think the internet is synonymous in the West with like freedom of speech or freedom of expression. But it's not. It's a business tool for capitalism. It's a business tool, and also we don't have freedom of speech or freedom of expression on it. I mean, my shit gets fucked with all the time on the internet. And also on top of that, it's like it's owned by capitalists here. So come on. But still, that's what we think of it as. People seldom think of it as business and business growth and development in a country that should be entitled to have trade protections upon it if people there want, just like any other industry. The same people who wanted Trump to put tariffs on a bunch of things to foster economic growth in the United States borders, which didn't work, by the way, that's not how that works, for the types of things he wanted to do. He like basically pretended he was going to bring manufacturing back to the Rust Belt. That didn't happen. But the same people who would support that would be mad at North Korea or China for having a firewall to foster and develop their own internet-based technology and business. Oop, oop, oop. Stretching. Oh my God, that actually felt really good, my arms. So that's how they're able to have things like this. Samsung, their version of Uber. North Korea is the world's most unlikely growth story. I mean, not really if anybody's been paying attention, but okay, for the Wall Street Journal maybe. Its economy is flourishing in ways not seen in years, aided by arms sales and troop deployments to Russia, supplies and financing from China, and the ability to flout international sanctions to import more energy, components, and materials. So here they've said it. Their ability to flout international sanctions to import more energy, components, and materials. So what we're hearing now is that the international sanctions were the reason that they did not have growth sooner. That if there were no international sanctions controlling energy, components, and materials, they would be developing even more than this, right? So Chinese leader Xi Jinping traveled to North Korea this week for his first foreign trip of the year. The Kim regime slammed its borders shut during the COVID-19 pandemic. Even this language, slammed its borders shut. Well, yeah, they protected their people from a global pandemic. It has since reopened to only a few select outsiders, including Russian and Western travelers and diplomats. Those visitors describe in North Korea unrecognizable from the past, especially its capital, Pyongyang, where Kim and the country's elite live. Now, also this wording of the elite. I just want to show you guys how many people are elite, according to them, in North Korea. So it has a population of over 3 million people, okay, in Pyongyang. The DPRK's total population is 26 million. So over 10% of their population lives in the city that is deemed elite, right? So this is over 10% of their population. Now, we also know this is not the only city in North Korea, and certainly not the only city that's been getting development, right? In the DPRK. So this actually says that Pyongyang has this is a more current updated population of 8.6 in South Pyongyang and Pyongyang together. So this would be 8.6% according to World Population Review of the South Pyongyang and Pyongyang, right? So that would be this is like almost 40% of their population, if that was true, for that area. So most of their a large significant portion of their population lives in this. So this is not just for the elite. So if these numbers are correct, which I'm not really sure how correct they are. It's a province. Its capital is Pyeongchang. Okay, no, so this is a different region. It's the most populous province in North Korea. Okay, so it's a province, not a city. It's located north of Pyongyang. Okay. Got it. So 4 million. We'll say 4 million in Pyongyang. Yeah, still, this is over 10% of their population lives there. So it is not just for the elite, as we've been told. Yeah, I think this thing has like weird data. I don't like this data. Let's look at Wikipedia. Let's get it more accurate. Okay, so they're putting Pyongyang's population, most places, between 3 and 4 million. So again, their population is a little under 30 million. It's around the same, here's the thing, it's around the same population as California, a little bit less, and the city of Pyongyang has around the same population as Los Angeles. So it would be like if slightly more Californians lived in LA and we wanted to say everyone that lived there was an elite. That's too many people for them all to be elite. I live in Los Angeles. I'm not elite. My friend who works as a house cleaner lives in Los Angeles. She is not elite. Like, it's just a crazy thing to say. So that's really the point. So yeah, it's just kind of kooky. But then also, it's like there's other cities. Hamhung, almost 1 million people. Chongqing, over 500,000 people, right? Nampo, 366,000 people. So there's other cities here. And if we look at like Hamhung developments, let's see if we have pictures from 2026. Oh my God, Daily NK, show me some slop content. I've seen some pictures going around of new upgraded photos, and it looks great too. It's like people want you to believe everybody else is starving to death in the countryside, but it's like, this is Hamhung. No, that's Pyongyang now. Where's the Hamhung one? I'm looking for the actual Hamhung photos. When you type North Korea, more stuff comes up. Here we go. Yeah. So this is Hamhung. So this is the second biggest city there. It's got industry. It's got beaches. It's very, very beautiful. Okay. So, yeah, this is exactly as Dukiba 11 says. You're telling me the capital of a nation is more developed than the rural areas. Exactly. We got a slop content about hidden armored train stations. That interests me. I'm gonna leave that slop content open for us. So saying this, right, just is super propaganda. This idea where they're like, it's where the country's elite live. I mean, it's the most populous city in the country, but the other cities in the country also are fine. They're doing fine. They're doing well. They're experiencing growth. They're experiencing new investment in infrastructure, buildings, etc., just like Pyongyang is. Restaurants there in Pyongyang serve up brick oven pizza and chicken wings. Diners can pay through a mobile QR code system, which they've been able to have because they put restrictions on the internet to develop their own technology. Chinese electric vehicles whiz through the streets. Pyongyang has new pet stores. Oh, remember when they told us that everybody had to eat their pets? They have new pet stores, an internet gaming cafe, and car dealerships selling BMWs. Kim has initiated a nationwide construction boom. Last year, North Korea built 10,000 new homes in Pyongyang, more than either Los Angeles or Chicago. And again, Kim is doing this through his role as the head of the Workers' Party, right? Not in his official government job. His official government job is more defense-based. But this would be the head of the Workers' Party. This is the stuff the Workers' Party is fighting for. During the twice-a-decade Workers' Party Congress in February, the 42-year-old dictator, which I found this article. I want to show you guys this really, really fast. Hold on. I added it to my North Korea resources list. Okay, so this is actually government slop content website, NK News, but this is the one that tries to take themselves more seriously. So if you're familiar with the USAGM, that's our above board propaganda network in the United States. It's government funded, congressionally funded and all that. Voice of America is supposed to be the more legitimate one, and then Radio Free Asia is like a little more kookballs like that. So out of our network of American government funded North Korea propaganda rags, NK News is supposed to be the most legitimate one. They got Andrei Lankov to be the director. He is the guy who was actually Susie Kim's mentor when she was in college. So they try to make it a little more academic. So sometimes when you see Radio Free Asia come out with the batshit insane stories about like Kim Jong-un saying hot dogs aren't socialist, or like wanting to check women for breast implants or whatever, NK News will actually come out and be like, no, that's ridiculous. That one is crazy. Haha, you're right. But these other things are definitely real, and you should definitely hate them for other reasons. So NK News is a really interesting one. They're also the ones that will allow you in the United States to read KCNA, like to read the DPRK's official state media, but they've also been caught editing it and removing certain posts that don't fit align with the Western perspective. So that's how you have to understand the role that MK News plays in this ecosystem. So they've published even The Myth of Kim Jong-un's Absolute Power. This is from 2017. Seeing North Korea as a one-man dictatorship is a lazy generalization. So even the US government is like, okay, fine, you caught us. We made that up. That's crazy. That's not actually how their government works. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't stop the Wall Street Journal from doing exactly this, from having a lazy generalization and saying, where is it? That Kim Jong-un is a dictator. Millennial king, 42 years old, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I just think that that's really, really interesting. And here's the full story. When Kim Jong-un is declared an autocrat and the country over which he presides a one-man dictatorship, remember that this is a moral, not a factual statement. From NK News even saying this. The fact that North Korea does not have free and fair elections, a functioning civil society, the rule of law, or a prison system, blah, 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 does not negate the fact that one man cannot govern alone. So again, propaganda, but then they're like, well, but obviously it's not just him. Come on. So then they talk about this top-down leadership, blah, blah, blah. They talk about other people in the party. This is kind of a crazy article, if I'm being honest, because it is so much propaganda, but they're trying to present themselves as being more rational and heady than the other propaganda networks are. But it's interesting that they even have to admit this, that no, he's not a dictator. That's just crazy. TikTok from Ming. Okay, we'll watch it maybe after we get through those. So, not a dictator, they call him that though, lazy generalization, championed the economic turnaround, saying in a speech it had come about despite the barbaric blockade of U.S.-led economic sanctions. Yes, true. And again, these same sanctions, the blockade, is what starved the North Korean people to death when they had a natural disaster in the mid-90s that wiped out all their productive farmland. On display outside of the building were 7 rows of rocket launchers fresh off the factory floor. And when people critique the DPRK for investing so much in their defense technology, investing in their defense technology first is what kept them safe enough to be able to build 10,000 new homes and create a version of Uber on their phone. They couldn't do that until they had sufficiently invested in their military defense system so that the United States wasn't fucking with them, the same way we see the United States fucking with Latin America right now, right? Everything has fundamentally changed, Kim said. Why? Because they secured their defense first. And then they worked with what they had, right? And that's important to keep in mind. In 2017, in response to North Korea's nuclear advancement, the U.S. and United Nations tightened economic sanctions on the nation with sweeping resolutions to restrict trade and financial transactions. The Trump administration has repeatedly stated its desire for the complete denuclearization of North Korea. Now, also worth stating, though, they've been under economic blockade since 1950, so they amplified it in 2017. But they've been under this blockade since the end of since the Korean War, basically. So also for Trump to say that his goal is the complete denuclearization of North Korea, yeah, we know why. Because you want to take over the entire Korean peninsula. You want to reunite the North and the South to be all under a puppet government of the United States. The South, where their military still is currently under the command and control of our military. You want to take over the whole country for the United States, very, very obviously. And that can only happen if they don't have nuclear weapons. So, notice Trump has no concerns about the complete denuclearization of the United States or Israel. No, just North Korea. Why? Because he's like, I can't get in there if you got the nukes. Let me in there. I want it. It's like the equivalent of a guy banging at your front door, mad you have an alarm system up, and you're standing there with a gun saying, if you come in, I'll shoot you. And he's like, how dare you? How dare you have that gun in this alarm system? Oh, I'm so mad. Let me in there. It's like, why are you trying to get in there, bro? You wouldn't even know the guy had a gun if you weren't trying to get in there, right? Leave him alone. Leave him the fuck alone. That's what Donald Trump is doing, right? Yeah, it's a, let me in! Yeah, exactly. So, during his first term, President Trump met with Kim 3 times, becoming the first sitting American leader to do so. This is why libs think they're best friends or whatever, because liberals have, like, the brain capacity of a child. It's, like, very, very frustrating. They're not best friends. Trump wanted to find a way to make money in Korea. But the two failed to strike a deal that curbed Pyongyang's nuclear program. Since taking office again, Trump has touted his relationship with Kim and has offered to meet with him again. But he just says this. He also says he's a great relationship with Zohran Mamdani. He says he's got a great relationship with everybody. This is just how this guy moves. He's just like a con artist. He's a bullshitter, right? Yeah, the U.S. is an HOA. Exactly. You can't do that. That looks bad. We don't like that. Clean that up. Get that out of here. Kim, for his part, has urged North Koreans to focus on building a self-reliant economy. The regime doesn't release official economic data, tightly controls information and orchestrates what visitors can see. Maybe they're afraid you're gonna fucking overthrow your government. Like, hello, I'm surprised that North Korea would even let Americans in there. It's a country still at war with you that's trying to overthrow you, that actually succeeded in taking over half of your country already. Like, the fact that North Korea is like, sure, Americans can come, but we just gotta watch you to make sure you're not a spy trying to overthrow our government. I think that's really chill of them, actually. You know? Regime. Outside the capital city, North Korea remains poor, with nearly half its 26 million residents malnourished, according to a UN report. So the UN report, though, where's the UN report? They don't even link to which one it is. They don't even tell us which UN report. Its yearly GDP is less than 1% of the US total. I mean, yeah, first of all, it's the size of one US state. Second of all, you put an entire fucking blockade against them. Third of all, you have a UN report about how malnourished they are. I know the report. It's based on speculation because they don't let the UN in, because the UN divided their country in half and sold off the south of it to the United States. Hello? Why do you think they might not want to work with the UN? That's crazy, right? It's insane. Yes, Americans should be required to wear ankle monitors, honestly, anywhere they go. Its yearly gross GDP, yes, less than 1%. Duh, hello. If you wanted their GDP to fucking grow, why would you have a total blockade against them? That makes no sense. Also, they're the size of one U.S. state. The country is one of the world's worst violators of human rights. Okay, what's this going to link to? I'm excited. Where distributing a South Korean drama can be punishable by death. All right. So let's see their proof of this. North Korean executions and torture alleged in new report. Now, this is the kind of lazy reporting we're talking about, all right? The country is one of the worst violators of human rights. This is stated as a definitive fact. They're like, they are definitely violating human rights. What are they linked to? A report where things are alleged. That doesn't mean that's definitely true. That's alleged. And it's alleged by who? South Korea. South Korea, their political enemy. So, this is like saying, Palestine is one of the worst violators of human rights, definitely. And then you go to report, and it's like, well, we think, allegedly, according to a report Israel put together. You're like, girl, what? What are you fucking saying? So South Korea released a new report detailing allegations, not proof, of execution and torture in North Korea. Okay? And they even say, as the president at the time, Suk Yeol, attempted to put more pressure on Pyongyang. So this also, let's look at this report. We'll go all the way back. Oh, it's just a link to them just talking about South Korea. Okay. We need to find this report. Because I think this is the report. 450-page report. Okay. They don't link to the actual report, though. We need to find the report. We're going to find it. And so if you read this, you might just, like, take this to be a fact, right? So this is 2023. I don't even know, like, where to find the actual report. Here we go. This is it. 450-page report. Take me there. Yeah, as Julia said, according to their enemies who try to wipe them off the map. It's crazy. Is this the same president that tried to provoke them into a war and then got ousted in a coup recently too? Was that guy? Oh, crazy. Okay. So, let's see. Where is the report here? No. This is not the report. Where's the report? Show me the report. Why? Why is it so upsetting? Show me. Show me the report. I'm just willing to bet that it's like Radio Free Asia bullshit, you know? I can't even find the report anywhere online. This is from the State Department. Unless this is the one from South Korea. No, this is all U.S. State Department. Okay, so this is linking to themselves. South Korea released a new report. They're not showing us the report, though, anywhere. No matter where I look. I can't find it. Chat, is anybody else able to find it? Anybody on a computer? I'm still searching. If an Al Jazeera reference to it. Again, Al Jazeera is referencing the report. We don't see it. Okay, this is about the report from ABC. Okay, also, ABC is saying it's based on testimony collected from 2017 to 2022 for more than 500 North Koreans who fled their homeland. But they're not allowed to say anything positive because of the National Security Act either, right? Reuters could not independently verify the South Korea government's findings. North Korea has said that this is a plot to overthrow it. Yes, very, very obviously it is. And this still doesn't show us the report. Like, why can't we find the report anywhere? Where is it? Okay, well, whatever. So we can't find the report anywhere. But what we know is that they're saying it here, the country is one of the worst violators of human rights, as though it's a fact. Their own link shows that this takes us to allegations by their political enemy that are in a report that we're apparently not allowed to see, that are just from talking to people who live in South Korea, where it is illegal to say anything positive about the North. They also say we're distributing a South Korean drama can be punishable by death. Oh, this is that link we opened. And I bet this is going to come as well from a Radio Free Asia thing, or that Amnesty International report, if we're looking. Let's see. This stuff is just so kooky. Yeah, when people say listen to Korean voices, we don't mean all. They just mean Julia. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to be like, oh, we only listen to Julia. You told us we chose one. I don't know what. We chose Julia. Awful. Yeah, a K-pop band went there. Yes. I'm trying to open this one to see this link. So we'll keep going on this story, but yeah. So here's the nighttime light intensity. South Korean think tanks reports, again, South Korea, nobody tells you about the details of the political situation between South Korea and North Korea that might lead the South Korean government to tell a bunch of zany fucking weird lies about the North, right? With titles like Sanctions Don't Show in Satellite Imagery, points to evidence that North Korea's claimed economic progress isn't mere propaganda. Okay, well, that's good at least. Vessel activity has surged at North Korea's oil storage facilities, which are being expanded. Many parking lots are more packed. North Korea now shines roughly 3 times as bright at night as it did 5 years ago. Beard, the Australian tour operator, hasn't visited since before the pandemic. On his recent trip, he asked to have dinner at Pyongyang's best restaurant. He and 4 others were taken to a sky bridge connecting 2 high-rise apartment complexes. The restaurant, more than 100 feet above Pyongyang streets, had glass floors. Their meal consisted of traditional Korean cold noodles, sushi, pizza, and drinks. The bill came down to around $150. North Korea didn't turn around its economy by itself. The Kim regime fortified its energy supply and access to construction materials by sending munitions and more than 15,000 troops to the Russian front lines in the Ukraine war. And again, they don't mention where did they send these troops. They send them into Russia to defend Russia's borders from Ukraine, who was advancing. About 1/3 of those soldiers were killed or injured. The arms sales have netted Pyongyang billions of dollars, according to estimates by the Institute for National Security Strategy, or INSS, a Seoul-based think tank affiliated with South Korea's spy agency. Monthly trade with China just hit an 8-year high, and a variety of Chinese consumer brands are touting business in North Korea despite such sales violating sanctions. The proliferation of tech gadgets, which have ushered in a North Korean digital economy, relies heavily on Chinese components, right? Because, you can't, and this is the thing too, people say this as though it's to discredit the accomplishments of North Korea. But, you need to think about this. If an area is not allowed to import anything from other areas, that means it must build its entire society only with the natural resources found where it is. So if you require some sort of rare earth mineral, right, to make some sort of technology gadget, and it's not found in your land, and you're not allowed to trade with anybody else, you're just never going to get that thing. You can't do it. It's impossible. So this idea that somehow needing to do trade is a sign of failure when communist places do it, when socialists do it, but it's just normal when capitalists do it, is batshit. Like, that's fucking wild. Why is it okay when capitalists do it but not okay when socialists do it? Especially when capitalists, we know, do it through coercion, through imperialism, through actual extraction of value at the expense of people living somewhere. And when socialists do it, they just trade with their neighbor. Like, it's very, very, very sinister how it's presented in that way. Many of Kim's army of cyber thieves live in China. Oh my God. Do you guys remember when we talked about this? They have hackers, and we're supposed to think that's not cool. Where they can more freely, and we don't even have proof of it, unfortunately. Where they can more freely connect to the internet and operate without fear of arrest by outside authorities. Raids of crypto exchanges alone have generated billions of dollars in funds for the regime. Again, we looked at this in a different stream. This was all just alleged. Nobody could prove this was actually North Korea, but even if it was them, I'm not mad at it. They can hack the crypto bros. According to nations and cybersecurity groups monitoring Pyongyang's activity. Both Beijing and Moscow, which have veto power at the UN, have reiterated their calls to relax sanctions on Pyongyang. Kim is expanding his network of potential friends, attending a Chinese military parade for the first time last fall, along with more than 24 other foreign leaders. In March, he hosted Belarus President Lukashenko in Pyongyang, where the two nations signed a friendship treaty. We need each other, Lukashenko said. We're really building, like, the multipolarity of the world thing is not a joke. Like, people are really building new alliances and feeling emboldened to stand up together against the West, I think. Kim's nuclear program thus far has proven to be a deterrent against military attacks or attempts to forcibly unseat him from power, enabling him to shift and focus to the economy. Yeah, there it is. Oh my God, he said it. Oh my God, he said it. Like, yeah, yes, duh. The nuclear program is a deterrent against the United States staging a coup in their fucking country. Yes. The economic progress, and allowed them now to focus on developing their economy. The economic progress dims hope for a nuclear deal with the U.S., since Washington has often dangled sanctions relief or economic incentives to get Pyongyang to freeze, halt, or relinquish its nuclear program. But North Korea's expanded economy, 3.7% from 2024, is the fastest rate in 8 years, according to the most recent figures from South Korea's central bank, which uses spy agency data to produce its estimate. They're literally just guessing. Now, so this brings me, why is South Korea comfortable reporting on growth and success and development in the North? I have some theories. Here's my fucking theory, okay? Yeah, Songun works, exactly. Secure your military first, defend yourself, and then focus on what you can after that. Yes. This is all vibes reporting. It's all vibes reporting. So what is the intention, the goal? Why is South Korea comfortable coming forward and saying, North Korea is doing well? I think it's because they want to position North Korea as a greater threat. So when we look at the last president who was ousted from power, thankfully, he was trying to provoke North Korea into an attack to justify him calling out martial law in South Korea to go after his political enemies. So for South Korea, it is politically advantageous for them to pitch and present North Korea like a constant threat of aggression that's going to harm them. Now, for its part, North Korea has had a policy of reunification with South Korea until very, very recently, where they were like, we have to acknowledge South Korea views us as a hostile entity, and reunification is probably not possible at this point. Like, they're a hostile power to us now. That doesn't mean they want to go to war with South Korea. That doesn't mean that they're threatening South Korea. They're literally just like, you guys are... You're cucked. You're totally bought by the United States. It's like all fucked. You're a U.S. military base, and you're trying to provoke us into war with you all the time. So for South Korea, the political advantage of being like, the North Koreans are big and scary, is more support from the West, right? Probably more financial backing, more justification for them to continue to do increasingly repressive things to their own people. Because the fear that North Korea is getting powerful and might come for you now justifies them being able to crack down on your civil liberties. The same way in the United States, we saw, the big act come about after 9/11, all of a sudden they were able to push all these laws, increasing surveillance of American citizens, taking away a lot of our civil liberties, because everyone was afraid that random Middle Eastern people, air quotes, were going to do a terrorist attack against them. So they were like, okay, fine, you can have access to all of our privacy info, all of our data. We can lose our right to say and do certain things in public spaces because it's for a greater good. And this is the type of fear-mongering that's always been done by power. So my guess is that South Korea sees utility in maximizing this narrative of North Korea's success. And North Korea has been successful, don't get me wrong. And they probably know, okay, that story is going to get out because Australians are going there, people from other countries are going there and seeing this development. So they're probably thinking, how can we spend this to our benefit? Well, we continue to position them as a massive threat to our safety and well-being and talk about how big and scary they're getting. And that gives us now the ability to be more repressive, more draconian within our borders with Western backing and support, is my guess. So this is what I am thinking. This is my guess. Prior to the illegal dissolution of the Soviet Union, the DPRK was doing better than the ROK on every metric that matters for every single one of them. That's what NeuroRiot's saying here in the chat. That is correct. Exactly. When they have people they can trade with, they do great. Right. So the blockade, the United States knows what they're doing with these blockades against Cuba and North Korea. As Dorian Sapien says, if regular people's opinions on the DPRK are getting more positive, which they are, it makes more sense that the propaganda against them would ramp up as well. Yes. Kaltimus, on the rare occasion a boomer brings up privacy, I asked them how in favor of the Patriot Act they were. Yep, exactly. No, I have not seen this video. Should I watch it now? Is it going to be a Rickroll? Let me get through this. Oh, wait, Kawashi. This is the comment of the video? The DPRK's ingenuity cannot be understood by capitalists. They didn't have cotton in the 80s, so you know what they did? They made cloth from their surplus resource, coal. Yes, and I always tell people this. My interest in the DPRK started because I'm an apparel designer. Because they were manufacturing jeans for Sweden. They were doing all these really interesting things in apparel manufacturing that was super ingenuitive and unique. They made their own synthetic fibers because they didn't have access to natural fibers. Yes. Okay. It's a new Call of Duty trailer. Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. Let's watch it at the end, though. I think we should watch it at the end. I'll pull it up for anybody who hasn't seen it. Yeah. You know what game. Okay, we'll watch it at the end because it's all about this, too. The fear-mongering against the DPRK and how it will pick up. Okay, so North Korea's economic standing is the strongest since Kim assumed power nearly 15 years ago and likely exceeds any point during the tenure of his father, Kim Jong-il, who ruled from 1994 until his death in 2011. So this is from this American guy from UC San Diego who's been a researcher of North Korea's economy for decades. Okay, I'm interested in this guy. We'll look him up too. George Devlaka, a British content creator, seized one of the rare opportunities for Westerners to enter North Korea when he signed up to run a 10K in April of 2025 in conjunction with the Pyongyang International Marathon. During his run, I think this might be the guy who's in The Couple, and they go to DPRK kind of a lot, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh no, it's a different guy. I've seen this guy's videos too. This is what I was thinking of. During his run, he said he was taken aback by sights such as a North Korean raising a poodle's paw to wave at the runners. Many North Koreans were recording with smartphones. They were on their phones a lot, he said. So here we go. Here they are. And this is the kind of stuff people will be like, jeans are illegal there. And I'm like, no, they just have their own fashion trends. And it's not jeans. They don't think it's cool to look Western. But you can wear them. People do wear jeans sometimes. But that's just not their fashion trend, right? Like, something that I've always loved about their aesthetics too is it's very vintage looking because they've had to do it all on their own. So how do you make jeans when you don't have access to cotton, right? I was a designer at Levi's. The whole thing about jeans is you need cotton. Because they were told, okay, so somebody said, why did the whole poodle thing take them by surprise? Because we were told all this insane propaganda, like they're not allowed to have pets and I don't know, all this insane shit, right? You just saw a post about the DPRK version of slot mobile games like Clash of Clans. Julia says, yeah. I was playing, well, you know, they have the internet cafes. I was playing a Dota game. They have Dota games. I was playing a Dota game against somebody in North Korea once. Oh, you think you found the human rights document? Thank you. We'll take a look at that, Nadia, you're a blessing. Okay. I'm going to get through this article and then we'll go to all of that towards the end. Domestic production of cell phones hits 500,000 devices a year, according to Russian tour agency Vostok Info. Smartphones are now so widespread in North Korea that more than 50 different brands exist. Just 5 years ago, North Korea, and seemingly Kim himself, appeared to be on the ropes. Fear of COVID triggered border closures that caused a plunge in trade with China, North Korea's main benefactor. Just even the wording's so weird. And they're able to say this because, again, they're trying to remind us that they're trying to convince us, rather, that China is not communist. They're actually capitalists. That's why they're so successful. So really, capitalist China is just being nice to communist North Korea. It's all bullshit, right? We know China is doing textbook Marxist-Leninism. That is part of the communist program. And they are not a benefactor of North Korea. They are doing trade with them. Like every other country on the planet should be allowed to do trade with North Korea if they want. Energy shortages caused coal mines to halt production. Basic food items such as vegetable oil and sugar became scarce on store shelves. Moscow's then ambassador to Pyongyang told Russian state media in 2021. Yes. Also, I just want to say, think about how much shit China gives the United States. Think about how many of our products are made in China, blah, blah, blah. Imagine if they said China was the United States' main benefactor just because we do trade with them. It's crazy. Kim made a rare admission that the country's economic policies had failed, acknowledging widespread food shortages and shedding tears in public. He lost considerable weight. Almost all sectors fell a long way short, he said in early 2021. The economic slump. So again, we have documented evidence that they publicly talk. They do self-critique. They're Marxists. They're like, this isn't good. We need to fix this. We need to fix this. But we think they're lying about all the shit that's good. Why? They'll tell you to your face. They will admit when things are going bad there and explain why and be like, we need to fix this. So why all of a sudden are they just creating massive propaganda to conceal when things are bad? But on the flip side, they're apparently coming forward and saying, no, things are bad right now. It's hard. It's crazy. Like, there's no logic involved in talking about North Korea at all. The economic slump began to reverse after Russia's February 2022 invasion of Ukraine, which North Korea publicly endorsed. I mean, anybody who knows what's going on there understands what happened. More than a year into the war, North Korea became a munitions supplier to Moscow, generating more than $10 billion from the summer of 2023 to the end of last year, according to INSS. Oh, I also want to point out, when they do this, they're trying to like badmonger in tandem. And this is something we used to see. When it was widely accepted that Israel were the good guys and Palestine was evil, they would attempt to demonize North Korea by associating them with Palestine. Because everybody knew Palestine was evil, right? For years and years and years and years. And if you're younger, that might be surprising to you to hear. No. We heard they were the most evil, bad people in the world. They hated women. They threw gay people off rooftops. They were evil, 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 bad, bad, bad. Had a dictator. Yasser Arafat was secretly this evil man controlling everything, whatever. So they would then try to convince us North Korea was bad because of how much North Korea supported Palestine. So they would be like, well, you know Palestine is bad. Well, look at how much North Korea helps them. Don't you think maybe that means North Korea is super evil too? Well, that's what they're doing here. So now the public sentiment on North Korea is like, wait a minute. They're like, well, they supported Russia, and don't you know, we know Russia's evil. We know Russia's evil, so they must be evil because they're supporting Russia. And this is really the logic they try to use. They try to, rather than people realizing like, oh, wait, maybe all of these people are just fighting against the United States together, and the United States is doing violent, horrible imperialism being enacted at the rest of the world. But no. So, and the sad thing is this works on people. So we need to figure out a way to flip that narrative and be like, if all these people are siding with Palestine and you know Palestine were the good guys, does that make you maybe reconsider anything or at least be skeptical? So, more than a year into the war, North Korea became a munitions supplier to Moscow, blah, blah, blah. In 2023, Kim made his first overseas trip after COVID. Also, no mention of the fact, right, that the United States has been arming Ukraine. No mention whatsoever. That's fine. It's okay for the United States to back an entire neo-Nazi infested fucking coup in 2013, 2014 with the Euromaidan. That's totally fine. And then arm a bunch of neo-Nazis in their government. Bring neo-Nazis to the United States to give them military training and guns and send them back to Ukraine long before the war ever started. That's fine. But, if North Korea does trade with Russia that involves military equipment, they're a big bad evil person, evil country. Just wild, the hypocrisy. So in 2023, Kim made his first overseas trip after COVID to Russia's Far East to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. The following year, Putin visited Pyongyang and they signed a mutual defense pact. That set the legal framework for North Korea's troop deployment to fight alongside Russia. And again, this was a defense pact. So North Korea sent troops to defend the Russian border from Ukrainian armed military advancing and taking over areas of Russia, which lots of Americans don't know that happened either. So they literally were sent to, not to Ukraine, to Russia to defend Russian territory. They were in Russian territory defending it from Ukrainian advancement. So this brought in more than $500 million, and most payments will come in the form of sensitive military technology, weapons parts, and other materials, the think tank estimates. So they've guessed that this brought in billions of dollars. And the reason they're guessing it brought in billions of dollars is because they want to make it look like North Korea sold its people to be killed in a war for profit. That's their whole, that's what you're supposed to think reading this, right? But this is all based on estimates, and really, even the estimates are just like, they have a mutual defense pact. They traded troops and weapons. We have mutual defense pacts. What do you think NATO is? NATO is a mutual defense pact. That's very normal. That's very aggressively normal for countries to have that. Like, what? North Korea's new warships and drones resemble Russian designs, according to experts. Moscow has also sent air defenses to Pyongyang, according to South Korean officials. The deeper relationship with Russia is the biggest gain North Korea could have wanted, especially the free advertising afforded to the Kim regime's weapons and fighters active on the Ukraine war battlefields, said Jung H. Pak, who was senior official handling North Korean issues during the Biden administration. So the source on this is the U.S. government. The regime is wealthier than ever, she said. This is, again, just American propaganda. Russian military know-how has enabled Kim to shift more resources to bread and butter areas. North Korea's pre-COVID economy had increasingly centered on black markets selling goods smuggled from China or under-the-table local goods, and with it the rise of a Donju merchant class who made their wealth outside state control. No source on that. Kim has asserted more centralized control during the rebound years, demanding state-manufactured goods appearing on shelves and expanding market surveillance. Over the past year, North Korea has completed major construction projects that had stalled for years, including Pyongyang's largest hospital, a greenhouse complex bigger than New York City's Central Park, and a new beach resort compound. No mention of the fact that they need to have a greenhouse complex bigger than New York Central Park. Why? Because when we divided the country in half and illegally took part of it from them, we did not leave them with productive farmland, and the small amount of productive farmland they have is susceptible to natural disasters, as happened in the 90s, and when that occurred, because of the blockade, they couldn't trade food, their natural food production was wiped out, people starved to death in mass. So no mention of that. Why do you think they need to have a greenhouse complex bigger than New York Central Park? So we don't starve them to death again if a natural disaster occurs. His marquee 20 by 10 initiative, new factories in 20 cities and counties a year for the next 10 years, again, not just Pyongyang where the elites live, calls for local economic revitalization requiring a modern healthcare facility, light industry factories, and a leisure complex. The regime is expanding. I also love that they say this. It's like, okay, so what do you call this government that's building new hospitals, new factories, new leisure complexes, and new greenhouses? We're going to hit them with the regime. Oh no, the regime is building greenhouses and leisure complexes. Like, doesn't it sound fucking insane? These people are crazy. These people are ding dong. So the regime is expanding state-run shops and pharmacies to replace black market activity, and new factories in rural areas are producing state jobs for traders who previously engaged in smuggling. They're doing fucking transformative justice. They're like, oh, you used to smuggle things? Okay, we'll give you a better job with the state instead, working on the things we need. Like, how is this supposed to be evil? This is according to Lee Sang-young, a researcher who has a network of sources inside the Kim regime. Some of the funds that the Kim regime made through selling weapons and hacking are trickling down to the residents, said Lee, who heads a data research center owned by Daily NK. Again, we'll just... Daily NK. Daily NK, a partner of the National Endowment for Democracy, who is, according to its own founder, a conduit of the CIA. Here's the source. And who is funded by Congress, and is so important, in fact, that when government shutdown happened, an injunction prohibited the federal government from withholding funds from the National Endowment for Democracy. So, U.S. government gives money to National Endowment for Democracy. National Endowment for Democracy, let's see the quote. Let's look for the famous quote. A lot of what we do today was done covertly 25 years ago by the CIA, agrees Weinstein, one of the founders of this group, National Endowment for Democracy. And they are, in turn, a partner of the Daily NK. So, according to the U.S. government, the Kim regime is making money selling weapons, and a little bit of it's going to the people, but not a lot of it. That's according to the U.S. government. That's what they want you to believe. It's just so fucking stupid. Yes. Ben Weston, who runs a YouTube channel about North Korea, Okay. Visited a special economic zone. This is so deeply unserious. Near the Russia and Chinese borders last year. Far from Pyongyang, Weston spotted a new fleet of taxis plus modern buildings replacing older houses. These projects seem to be happening all over the country. He said they are, but also, why is your source a random YouTuber? That's crazy. This is insane. Austrian filmmaker Bridget White hadn't visited North Korea since 2018 before arriving at the Pyongyang International Film Festival last fall. The first thing she noticed was busier streets. Electric vehicles and imported cars were abundant, she said, and more locals appeared to own cars. The cars look quite fancy, she said. Her North Korean tour guide said EVs were preferred because they were better for the environment. Driving is now so widespread that state-run television recently aired a two-part segment about updates to traffic laws. Among the revisions, new bans on jaywalking, walking pets without a leash, and smoking while driving. In April, Kim toured a new neighborhood of residential skyscrapers in the Hwasong district, which shares the name with North Korea's intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching the U.S. mainland. Sick. A pair of 40-story residential towers was painted red to resemble missiles. Why red to resemble missiles? Is that true? Can we get a source on that? Or were they just red? Like, were they painted red to resemble missiles? I'm not mad if they were. I find that... Did someone tell them that, or did they just vibe that? Yeah, ban on jaywalking. Careful. The anarchists will tell you it's authoritarian. That the government doesn't want you to get hit by a car. Everything red. Missile. Okay. So a pair of 40-story residential towers was painted red to resemble missiles vibes. Okay. Earlier this year, families of North Korean soldiers killed in Russia were given apartments in the district. Yes, they were. Chinese exchange students have provided glimpses on social media of life in Pyongyang, including photos of department stores featuring cosmetics with Chanel's logo and sunglasses with Ray-Bans. In May, North Korea held its first full-scale international trade fair since the pandemic. More than 290 companies attended, including ones from Russia, China, Mongolia, Switzerland, and Thailand. Oh, that's a video we watched last week, was a guy from that. A North Korean electronics company showcased intelligent TVs that enabled viewers to purchase goods. Smartphones, some costing more than $500, were exhibited in red, orange, and blue. We are listening to the people's demands, a saleswoman told North Korea's state broadcaster, to further advance our domestic electronic goods. Zoe Stevens, a British citizen, has led groups to North Korea as a tour guide. Is it Zoe Discovers North Korea? Is it that Zoe? Is it Zoe Discovers NK? I'm bleeding. Missile. Blood red. Missile. So maybe Zoe Discovers North Korea. Could be. Before the pandemic, she recalled all payments were in cash. Visiting Pyongyang last year, she saw more locals buying with their smartphones. There were apps to order food, basic staples, even prescription medications. They were using delivery services, cash payment apps, and you can pay through your phone, she said. Okay. So, yeah. The Wall Street Journal wants you to know that North Korea is aggressively normal and doing well despite the sanctions, which definitely have hindered them. But somehow you should be afraid of that. And also it's because of China and Russia, and it should make you hate all of them. That's what I'm taking from this story. So some of the sources they used here, a defector explains the remote work scam helping North Korea pay for nukes. We've got these are their sources. Let's see if we can open this one. It's just, again, these random defector stories where it is quite literally illegal for them to say anything else, anything positive. She to leave China for the first time this year, destination Pyongyang. This is from 3 days ago. And this will be next week. So next week we'll get to see, this week I'm guessing. Yeah, because that was Friday. So this week we'll get to see some updates probably from the trip. The 72-year-old has scaled back his international journeys in recent years, but his visits to Pyongyang speak to North Korea's rising importance among the U.S.'s biggest adversaries, which are increasingly coordinating and assisting one another. Yeah, they are. They are. Oh, the link fails, though it wasn't archived. Oh. Okay, we'll look. So yes, everybody can see the world is like the United States is a fucking joke. It's a circus without clowns. It's an empty circus. And they're starting to come together and be like, okay, cool. We can organize. We can work together. We can build systems that benefit each other, basically. Bilateral relations. So that's what's going to happen now. So we'll see what comes of that. How a new access called Crink is working against America. Oh my God, it's my Irana Russaria. They came up with a new name for it, Crink. This is from last year. You're right. Sorry, my bad. We have many, many, many clowns. They're just not good clowns. They're not very entertaining clowns. My bad. Okay, wait. So I didn't realize that they're calling it Crink. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. You know what? That is actually better than Irana Russaria. I think it is better than Irana Russaria. I'll give it to him. Irana Russaria. Crink is better. I'm Team Crink. Why did they organize it in that order? Crink. Why did I do Irina Russaria? This is way better. Crink. Okay. So they're like, these people are coming together. They're sharing military assistance, food, goods, etc. You don't like Crink? Okay, this story's not related. I just saw it and thought it was interesting. This guy, Stephen Haggard, is one of their sources. Don't worry, he's the research director for democracy and global governance. I'm sure that's fine. Shit. Hold on. Oh, he's from the Journal of East Asian Studies. And the source on this is actually Ned. Okay, so this guy, it's a broken link, but this guy who was one of the sources they used is literally a Ned guy. He's from Ned. His sourcing all links back to Ned. He's a Ned dude. So that's great. There's a broken link. But we've got the Journal of East Asian Studies, which I'm pretty sure the Journal of East Asian Studies is also Ned affiliated. This whole guy, though, he's all netted out. I think the language is too vague. Hold on. Let's go back and find his name. Stephen Haggard. Also a British actor. Maybe it's just a... Let's see. Yeah, so here we go. Journal of Democracy. That's the National Endowment for Democracy. He's all over this. Stephen Haggard. Here you go. He's writing for them. There he is. Stephen Haggard writing for the Journal of Democracy from Ned. All right. So that is what's going on there. So their sources are just a bunch of, and this is like what we talk about, where like, it feels like they're talking to a lot of different sources, but for all the things that were supposedly bad and scary about North Korea and like official, they're literally just talking to people who are the U.S. government on this issue. And then everybody else is just like saying neutral things. Like, the buildings are nice. They have more cars now. Cool. They have good apps on their phones. Like, it's just normal people. And then all of the other sources, it sounds like a lot of people are telling you things that are definitely true. And when you follow the links back, they're being lazy with their reporting. This wasn't true. This was alleged. It was alleged by the political enemies of North Korea. It was alleged by South Korea, which is basically a vassal state of the USA. It was alleged by who? The U.S. government. All these people paid by the U.S. government, affiliated with the U.S. government. It is a pyramid scheme of propaganda. And this is what is so hard to convince people. They're like, are all the North Korean defectors lying? And you're like, well, not all of them, but probably the ones you've heard from. Yeah. Right? Oh, this is the broken link you were talking about. Yeah. So it's just like, why... Oh, this was from the 2023. So that was the 2024. So let's look at the 2023. Oh, and it's unavailable. All the links to download are unavailable. Yeah, Daily NK and NK News literally just invent shit out of thin air, says Neuro Riot. Washington writers just writing whatever. Nowadays, it wouldn't surprise me if they were using generative AI to write. It would be classic. Yeah, exactly. And this is extremely true. So we've got a bunch of links that I was interested in reading more on, but I don't know if they're going to open for us. They might not because of the paywall. And it's 11:33. So I feel like maybe it is smart for us to move on. We'll watch the Call of Duty trailer together, and then we'll do map, right? Map. Yeah. Okay. So we'll do it. So I think the big things to take away, though, is that North Korea is in its winning era. It's thriving. I told everybody we were going to start to see big movement on this. Probably in the next 20, 30 years, it's going to get even more intense. And the West is like, we need to up our anti-North Korea propaganda game, right? So, oh, yeah, Comrade Sky, I was trying to do archive.ph and they weren't loading. They weren't there. So, yeah. The China DPRK article. So let's watch now, speaking of this, how as they become more popular, we can expect to see an increase in anti-DPRK propaganda. We're going to do the Call of Duty trailer. So for those of you who are gamers, who game, you've already seen this. I saw this. This was 11 days ago. I saw this when this came out. For those of you who aren't, this is what's going on in the world. Who told me about this? You think I don't play video games? You do not get to play as DPRK. You must play. It's a South Korean soldier, actually. I'm pretty sure it's who you play as, from what I remember. So let's take a look. This, because we're going to see more of this. They're going to do everything in their power to try to keep demonizing these people.
10 mics, and your asses better be in formation north of the stadium.
Orders are anytime, any place.
Sergeant
I'm going to go
J,
to the bathroom while this plays, actually.
keep your scouts in line.
Can we make a pit stop at the Komatsu?
The new guy is low on rations. Make it fast, guys.
Who's that, a K-pop star?
The new supreme leader of North Korea.
No shit. That dude looks younger than I am.
You guys heard that?
작전 개시. 여신 종료.
You're still a wanted man.
Yeah, I know.
What did you do?
Well, I had to.
We make our own rules of engagement now. You are moving a weapon of war. The kind we deny exists.
You do what you need to. Because you know I will.
대반자를 찾아내라. 이 마을을 불태워서라도.
수류탄 투척!
We are not ready. We could all die tonight. We don't even get a choice. You broke a lot of rules, Price. No more rules.
Yeah, so for everybody not up to speed in gaming world, that's what's going on, right? So, the premise of the game is supposed to be, right, that like Big Bad Scary North with an unnamed political leader decides to try to reunify with the South again, basically. Yeah, it's slap. It's super, super slap. So, it's pretty crazy, and it's interesting to think how many new generations of people are going to get indoctrinated by that, propagandized by that, right? Do they say it's apolitical? I didn't know that. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, but that's the kind of propaganda we're going to be able to see more coming out of it. We have to find the most effective way to fight it. So the thing I think is the most successful is not over-explaining, just keeping things short and sweet and acting like it's something people are already supposed to know. And I think that really is a motivating thing for people. Like when somebody says something ignorant, don't be like, no, I know why you think this, but blah, 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 blah. The thing that gets through the most to people is like, dude, what are you fucking talking about? Like, no, it's 2026. We don't do that. Like, no. So I think that's the best way we can show support for these people, right? And if they ask, keep it simple. And that's why I've just started telling people, that's East Asia's Palestine. Like, we don't fucking do that. You sound insane right now. Sorry. You can hear it. I know. My computer's about to die. I have to get a charger, and it touched the microphone. But yeah, just like this idea that it's like, of course I support North Korea. I'm not a fucking monster. Like, what? You would have to be an insane person. You would have to be so deeply, like, morally abject to not support them. Of course I do. And I think that kind of thing is really important for people to hear, right? You know, it's a little harder on Russia because you're like, well, I support Russia having a Marxist-Leninist revolution. I support all the Marxist-Leninists in Russia currently influencing their government. I understand a lot of Russia's more rational motives for how they move through the world. It's a little bit harder to explain it to somebody in a sentence, but yeah. Okay, this is Ming from the earlier video. It is relevant, yes. We'll watch this and then we'll get into map.
Recently, I've seen many videos discussing Madeline, and I know her remarks about North Korea has sparked considerable controversy. But I want to tell you something you might not know. You have probably seen videos of North Korea with its numerous advanced and modern buildings, and you might think this is propaganda. But I'm here to tell you, it's 100% true. In the past 2 years, North Korea's development has been so rapid that even the Chinese find it unbelievable. Why is this? How were they able to achieve this despite UN sanctions? Who caused this? You. Think about what happened in the past few years. The Russia-Ukraine war broke out, and Russia was sanctioned by the entire West. Under these circumstances, do you think Russia still needed to abide by UN sanctions? Although China has been helping North Korea, it previously had to be cautious because it also needed to abide by UN rules. But now, with Russia leading the way, UN sanctions are essentially ineffective. Think about it. China is the world's leading industrial nation, and Russia is the world's leading resource-rich nation. These two countries happen to be North Korea's neighbors. Under these circumstances, is it any wonder that North Korea has made such rapid progress? This is not propaganda at all. It's just a very simple principle. It's not even an ideological debate about whether communism or capitalism is more advanced. It's just ordinary geopolitics. Recently, I've seen many videos discussing
Yes, so people are starting to be like, oh shit, it's going well there, right? Russia was sanctioned by the entire West on the same level as Cuba and DPRK, though. Yes, yeah, totally. Okay, wait, Julia also had a tweet that's like an example of this on how we talked to people about this issue and got through to them. Yeah, Korea, then Gaza. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, yes. I also showed there's the tweet from the Palestinian who this is really good. Thank you for sharing this. Who was like, you know, Gaza, like North Korea was once in Gaza's position, and to see them rebuild like this and prosper gives me hope, and like I hope one day we'll be there too. I think that's very like good to show people and be like, look, Koreans and Palestinians are telling you there's a similarity here. This is the same issue. So getting people to really understand that there's camps of people and influence in the world, and like these things work all together, I think is an important thing to get people to have it click. It's a little hard. Yes, inshallah, we will rebuild. Exactly. That was the tweet. Yeah. Yeah. There are many cafes in the West Bank with photos of the Kims and such. Yeah, because they did so much. Okay, so then Chairman Ross, we'll do this before we get into map, because it is emotional seeing, you know, seeing this kind of growth and development. It really is, because if you know what the Korean people fought against and what the United States did to them, to be like, well, they're building houses and they got crops and they got solar panels and fuck you. You know, you said, no, we're cutting you off from the world. And they were like, all right, we'll work with that. And they did. And it feels good. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, you consider Palestinians, Julia says, to be your brothers and sisters. Every oppressed person in the world is your brethren. Exactly. All right. So let's get into the map. Should we get into the map? Let's get into the map. I hope for many amazing things to come from the DPRK. I'm so happy to see them thriving. I can't wait to see more. Now, in Mapland, today we are going to take a look at Kyrgyzstan. And it was Kyrgyzstan, right? Did we say? I think we said Kyrgyzstan. Yeah. Yay, map. Zay. Where is she? I wonder if she'll come. She's not in here. Interesting. Okay, Kyrgyzstan. Let's see what's going on with Kyrgyzstan. Bookmarks, bookmarks, bookmarks. So we have, of course, this is our easiest one. They're not on here. I just wanted to show everybody. They are not the NATO super secret friends list. None of the stands are except for Pakistan. We have the NED report and we have the hyper-imperialism report. So let's get looking. Spell it right, Hanson. Spell it right. Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do hard things. Yes. Also, for those of you who don't know, Pendleton is my middle name. My last name is Hanson. Okay, here we go. So this is Kyrgyz Republic. To expand access to human rights defenses in remote regions. Yes. I feel like we should just like search for this. Oh, now it's mentioned 11 times more than just on this page, I'm guessing. So this looks like we're doing a lot there. So promoting democratic values, that means we're trying to steal elections. Media, we're trying to do propaganda. Strategic litigation, publicizing abuses and corruptions, propaganda. And in Russian, so this means that there's a lot of anti-Russian stuff we're doing there. Look at all of this. We're spending a lot of money there. We are spending a lot of money there. This is a lot of money. All right, we're really all there. Let's see how much we're spending. Dark blue, darkest on the map. More than $2 million a year is being spent here. We want it. $2.3 million a year being spent there, just like Georgia and Armenia. Georgia, very interesting. Armenia. I also wanted to ask this question on TikTok, but I was like, how does it feel to have the internet? Yo, your first and middle name, and you like an angry parent. Just like, these people don't even know me. It does, right? Pendleton. Sprawling Gothic manor. It's my grandmother's maiden name. I regret to inform everybody she was also poor. So, you know, it's a good name though. All right, so basically we're spending a ton of money here. So I wanted to make a video being like, are Armenians more likely to be communists? Like, is anti-communism less prevalent in the Armenian diaspora? I'm so curious because I feel like Armenia suffered so much before and after the USSR. I'm just wondering if Armenia has more of an appreciation for the USSR as a result of that, the USSR like protecting them from ethnic battles and conflicts that broke out before and after they oppressed them and harmed them. You know, like during the Ottoman Empire before, and then like after, like now, the shit they're dealing with Azerbaijan, which has been backed by Israel and the United States. So I want to figure that out. All right, so, the Pendle Witch Trials, also what you guys are picking up on is that my family's been here. We were the first colonizers. Like, I'm pretty sure I had family members on the Mayflower, and the entire city of Boston was one of the founders, who there's like a statue of all the founders of like Watertown, Boston, is a Pendleton, Brian Pendleton. That's like my family. So my family couldn't hack it in England. Brokies came over and they were like, haha, we're gonna get rich here, and they couldn't do that either, and it still stayed broke. So yeah, sorry for Boston, that's our fault. I'm like that. I get it though. And then we just continued to move west because we were poor at every situation. Like Dust Bowl, we were like Okie farmers, we fucked that up, so then we had to go till eventually we just ended up in California, and then we failed to get rich here too as well. So you'll see markings of the Pendletons all across the great country. We fucked up everything, but there was a lot of us for a while, I'm told. Just failing. Just fail after fail after fail. Yeah. Sorry for Boston. Well, you know, I don't really want to apologize for Boston. And when I'm in Boston, I'm like, this makes sense that my people would do this. This makes sense for me, you know. Yeah, you need to be the second or third wave of colonizers. Yeah, no, we didn't learn. We failed. We failed pretty hard. Yeah, the clip of Breaking Bad with Walter. Yeah, that's me. You get it all. You get everything. Failure is subjective. Used to live near a place called Pendleton. That was my people. Yeah, some of my people did the blankets, as Virgo mentioned. The wool. They apparently did quite well for themselves. We don't know them. I don't know the wool branch of the family. Yeah. Yep. Failing to exploit workers really failed. I'd like to think that my family would have loved to exploit workers if they'd figured out how. I'm the first one who probably arguably figured out how I could have and then just rejected it. So I do like the reimagining that somehow we had good ethics and morals the whole time. I just don't feel like we would have come here. I feel like it would have been like there's people there. If our heads had really been locked in the game the whole time from an ethical perspective, I feel like we would have been like, oh, Hegel's Big Dialecticals. I was a daughter of the American Revolution on both sides of my family tree. This was very important to both of the grandmothers when I was a child. They paid my dues off and on every year until I was like 12. And then they were like, oh, this thing doesn't care. And then they stopped. So, yeah, I ran the worst sweatshop in Fresno. Exactly. Yeah, so you clocked it. Yep. They thought this was like the only thing my family had in terms of like family pride is our history. And my grandmother once like wrote a book about our family history. And some academic also wrote it as like a story of the U.S. development, like through the lens of our history, and my dad's names at the end of the book, because it was like the surviving relatives of these people. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, no, my family had strong colonizer pride. Exactly. So I really don't think, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they had the good, because if they had, I don't think they would have come. I think they would have just, no, we don't need to. This is the thing that gets me too. Sorry, I know we're running late. We'll get into Kyrgyzstan. We're all fucked up in Kyrgyzstan. The thing that really gets me though is this. Like, if you think about when the Americas were colonized, when did the fucking Mayflower come, right? 1692, or Columbus sailed 1592? Okay, we'll say 1620, all right? Like, just for reference, we'll say the 1600s. This is what, there was like, I'm looking for the pictures. This was the oldest cafe in Paris that was established in the 1600s. It still exists today, all right? They had cafes and shit. The fact that a bunch of white people got on a fuck-ass boat, sailed across the ocean, and then started roughing it for funsies in nature, trying to kill indigenous people, the same year that they could have just stayed in Europe and sat their asses down at a little cafe, had a little cup of coffee, talked about philosophy with their friends on a Saturday night, is insane to me. Because I think it's like, you think about the 1600s, you're like, well, it was probably fucking miserable everywhere. They didn't need to subject themselves to that misery. Now, don't get me wrong, the indigenous people were not living in misery because this was their home and their land. These people chose to go have a new experience they were not equipped for, utterly fail at it, and kill everybody in the process. Which is crazy. Why? You could just be at this cafe chilling. You didn't have to go to a whole new country and commit genocide there. That was not necessary for you. You know? The rich people, I get it, that's what they do, right? They're just an average person. If somebody walks up to you, imagine you're sitting at this cafe and they're like, do you want to get on a boat? It's going to be a real long ride. It's not going to be great. And go to a place where we're not wanted at all. And try to steal a bunch of rural land, 0 cafes, from the people there. And they will try to kill you, because you're not supposed to take it. And then walk really, really, really far without reliable access to food. Just so you could take more of the land from the people. Just for some rich guy to ultimately make money. Is this not fun to you? There is no fucking way. There is no fucking way. I'd be like, I'm so good here. We got our problems here, but that sounds way worse than what I got going on here. If all I have to do here is pretend to love whatever the king's version of Jesus is, that seems preferable to me than all that. I don't need to go kill a bunch of people about it. It's just crazy. It's just insane to me. Okay, anyway, so sorry. Just thinking, you at the same time you were out, The Mormons were fucking walking across the Great Salt Flats out here, and all the native people were like, "You're gonna die," and they're like, "We think we got it." They could have just been sitting at a cafe with a little ceramic cup drinking espresso. That's insane. And don't get me wrong, the espresso would have come with the mass exploitation of people who go south growing it. I'm aware of all that, but just as a personal choice, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. I think you have to be a psychotic and bad person for that to have been appealing to you, is my point. So I don't think anybody who came into the United States in that era, I think they're all fucking, something was bad and wrong in there. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just, okay, so sorry. A long divergent point here. New frontier, Comrade Thuggin says. New crimes to commit. I'm saying it attracted a morally bankrupt criminal element. I think the United States was founded by morally bankrupt criminal people. And I don't think that's controversial to say. So my family, daughter of the American Revolution on both sides, what were you doing? Why did you do that? Why? Why did that seem appealing to you? What were you running from? I know it wasn't great in Europe in the 1600s. Marx wrote whole books about it. But, arguably, all the things that weren't great, you were going to make way worse here. So I don't understand that. Okay, so that's it. That's just my... Yeah, being oppressed sucks. What if we could become the oppressors? That is the entire sales pitch for that. So I don't trust it. I don't trust it, okay? I don't trust it. That's all I'm saying. It's fucking weird. Okay. My forefathers could have been, for some of them probably were. Some of mine probably did get dysentery and die on the Oregon Trail. It's not a stretch for us, my people. I don't feel like my family would be uniquely good at dealing with dysentery. All right? I'm just saying. Let's see. Speaking of that colonial urge, that desire to go fuck up people's lives in other countries, what is the United States doing in Kyrgyzstan? In the Great Kyrgyz Republic. We're spending $2 million a year to do some more fuck ass shit. We're on our shit, right? So it's all one. It all links together. We're spending it on propaganda. So my guess is it's a lot of money. They've got to have access to some shit we really want. There's got to be a lot of key minerals, key resources that we really, really, really want. So they're in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This doesn't help us. I want to see the sanctions and the voting. Okay, they voted yes on the Gaza ceasefire, and they voted to abstain from Russia withdrawal. So they've got some goods and services we want, and they're currently giving them to Russia. That's what's going on, and we're spending $2 million a year there, which propaganda is cheap. That's what you guys need to understand. $2 million sounds like nothing. Propaganda is so fucking cheap. You can pay a guy like $100 to write an article. So $2 million goes a long way in propaganda. So we're spending a lot of money there through NAD to try to change that. Now, if we look at the actual map layout, we've got this key area, resistance. We've got this area that's been pretty cucked, but they're like, well, I don't know, maybe. We're open if the price is right. So my guess, and then these two are treacherous. We're trying to convert this whole region. What we're really trying to do is isolate Russia and China, it seems like, and Iran, and make it so that this whole area that naturally should connect them. Oh, Say's been in here this whole time. She's been behind the couch. She just walked out. Won't let them connect. We want to probably put in a block here, an imposing block. It just occurred to me, do you guys think the United States government has their own version of this map? They probably do, right? They must. Okay. So, now the question is, what resources does Kyrgyzstan have? What do they got going on there? And are we calling it the Kyrgyz Republic? Is that its official name now? No, it's Kyrgyzstan. Oh, officially it is the Kyrgyz Republic. Yes, it's both. Okay. So I'm gonna look up natural resources. We're gonna look up Russia. We're gonna look up China. We're gonna look up Israel, and we're gonna look up Donald Trump. See what he's up to. Trummo. I just typoed it. Trummo. I liked that. Oh, okay. Here we go. This is from the U.S. government. They're telling us what's going on in Kyrgyzstan from 2020 and 2021. The mineral industry. So sixth in the world in mercury production, excluding the United States. It's 0.6% of the world's total production. But gold remains the primary mineral mined in Kyrgyzstan. They also do cement, clay, gold, coal rather, copper, crude petroleum, gypsum, lime, mercury, natural gas, salt, sand, gravel, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, is it a great stream? Yay. The real GDP decreased by 8.6%. Government policies and programs. Commodity review of metals, structure of the industry. 99% of their enterprises involved in mining are privately owned. 4 are government owned, and 1 is municipality owned. Very fascinating. There's going to be a table we can look at. Structure of the mineral industry, production, outlook. Okay, so then where's our table? All right. Production of mineral commodities. Sand and gravel. Not super exciting, obviously. Clay. Okay. Bye, Lordoxium. Okay. Oh my god, did you guys hear my stomach? My stomach just growled because I didn't do breakfast. Because I had the big dinner. That's what happens. Okay, so they got minerals. They got minerals. They got gold. They got stuff we want. We're interested. All right. So, it also could be something about their location, though. Maybe their location is at play here. So, sanctions fears as Kyrgyzstan shutters companies suspected of aiding Russia. Crackdown on 50 firms is rooted in Bishek's own worries of being sanctioned. But they voted to abstain from voting on Russia and Ukraine. It's a mountainous, landlocked Central Asian nation, historically one of the region's poorest economies, most of it reliant on remittance from migrant workers abroad. But 4 years ago, its fortunes got an unexpected boost. After Western governments and their allies slapped Ukraine with sanctions, Kyrgyzstan immediately emerged as a key hub for goods bypassing embargoes. From 2021 to 2022, that's after the mineral report you saw, the annual value of Kyrgyzstan's exports to Russia leapt from 393 million to over $1 billion, including products such as luxury cars and microchips. Some of those products, such as microchips, are known as dual use, meaning they are imported to third countries like Kyrgyzstan as civilian goods and then re-exported to Russia, where they may be utilized in military hardware such as missiles and drones. But last week, Kyrgyz authorities declared that 50 companies believed to be helping Russia evade sanctions were being forced to shut their operations in the country. This announcement came after the EU imposed an embargo on certain electronic goods to Kyrgyzstan for rerouting products to Russia. Okay, so they were helping Russia, and then the EU was like, fuck you, you're going to fuck up our relationship with us if you keep doing this. And they're like, okay, shit, we got to shut this stuff down. So last year, the EU blacklisted 2 Kyrgyz banks, while the United Kingdom imposed sanctions on senior Kyrgyz officials. Okay, I feel like they're going to be treacherous energy. It's an open secret in Kyrgyzstan that entrepreneurs and companies are benefiting from international and Western sanctions on Russia by helping Russia circumvent them. I know some individuals who, even though they disagree and are horrified by what Russia's doing in Ukraine, still trade with Russia, seeing it as an opportunity. Okay, so they talked about when it used to be part of the Soviet Union, largely in the Kremlin's orbit. The current Kyrgyz government upholds close relations with Moscow. Russia maintains an airbase and other military facilities in Kyrgyzstan, and the 2 countries have signed mutual defense agreements. I think they're the resistance, then. Right? They have to be the resistance. If they have Russian military bases there, they're supporting Russia. The only thing they did was they had to shut down things because they were dealing with EU sanctions, but that's just, that's just common sense. The Kyrgyz public is broadly positive towards Russia. Okay, let's look it up. Okay, China is also, Zay's next to the microphone. All right, let's see. They call it Putin's outpost in Central Asia. Russia ready to support Kyrgyzstan and its work with UN Security Council. Okay. China archaeological collaboration. Kazakhstan, no. Okay, they're doing trade deals. Okay. The Federation of Jewish Communities, Kyrgyzstan, a haven in Central Asia? It's from 2026. Though largely unknown to many Israelis and diaspora Jews, the story of Jewish life in Kyrgyzstan is both ancient and inspiring. Roots of a Jewish presence. Do they want to do another Israel in Kyrgyzstan? Is that what's going on? Some anti-communist stuff. Okay. Jewish life endured. They want another Israel. Okay, they don't say anything about Kyrgyzstan helping them. They're just like, we've been there. Just, you should know we've been there. We've been there. Okay, maybe this is it. Arab states deepen military ties with Israel while denouncing Gaza war, leak reveals. Okay. Okay, no, that's just a picture of some guys doing military things. Advancing a U.S.-Israel partnership in Central Asia. This is from the Times of Israel. Love it. Love to see what they've got going on here. Okay, so they're like, this is important for us that we have ties with, no, but they're just, no, not really a story. No, not really much going on. Not really much going on. Okay, so then Trump signals readiness to strengthen U.S. ties with Kyrgyzstan. Well, yeah, we're spending $2 million a year there trying to get it. All right. So I don't even know that they have treacherous energy. Yeah, they're shopping around for new places. They want a new house. They're like, oh, this one's complicated. So the C5+1 is Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and the United States. And that happened November 6th of 2025. That doesn't help us. Okay, so is this really Donald Trump? Is this real or is this AI? Is that what that guy looks like? Do you guys see? My stomach is so loud and growly. That cannot be real, right? This can't be real. That's what that guy looks like? I don't think that's what he looks like. Maybe it is real. Why the fuck does he look like a totally different dude? Okay, whatever, my face blindness. I don't know. Okay, so here's my assessment. I will now present it. I am positioning Kyrgyzstan as resistant or defiant. Fuck. It's either going to be the resistance, because they literally have Russian weapons there and are like, fuck your sanctions, we'll do shit anyway. They toned down the orange, that makes sense. And the United States is real mad and we're trying to dump a ton of money. So maybe it's that they're defiant because the United States thinks we can switch them, thinks we can bring them around. So yeah, I don't think they're working with Israel. They basically, the only thing they did that wasn't 100% on board, the only reason they're not firm pink is because the EU threatened to sanction them and they were like, oh fuck, that would fuck us over. So then they stopped doing the shit with Russia, but that also is just like survival. Like they need to not be sanctioned by the EU. So the question to me is if they're defiant or the resistance. So the resistance to me is like, are they actively fighting back against the United States and Western power? And they are insofar as that they're helping Russia, right? Even though they're not supposed to, but then they just stopped doing that. So I don't think they're the resistance yet. I think they were the resistance before they implemented these new changes. So right now I think they're just defiant. They're just like, we're not totally listening to you. Yeah, they weren't really fighting it out. And I don't think they have the capacity to be, and I don't think that's their fault. People don't like the map. People, you know what? The map's for us, chat. The map is for us. So I'm going to put them as... Is this right? I'm going to put them as defiant. And we want them. We want them bad. So we really want to change some things around there. I know it. We want it. $2 million a year, that's kind of a lot that we're pumping in there. So, you know, it is what it is. Okay, chat. That's it. That's it for the day. Is Larry streaming today? Are we sending you to Larry? I'm defiant. Hair color. I'm defiant. Was it a fun stream? Yay. I'm glad everybody liked it. I'm glad it was fun. Let's read Larry. Let's go raid Larry now. All right, I got to start my day. Thank you all for a lovely, lovely time. I will see you tomorrow. For Topics Tuesday, we'll be doing part 2 of Ukraine-Russia. Very controversial. Bye. Okay, rating now.